again. MWG is back from his sickness. My voice, still almost there. I would say it's like 80% of the way there. It's almost perfect. My body's almost back to the normal way. That means I can still make a video though. While I was away, there was a brand new Android flagship announced in New York City on around May 2nd. It is now May 6th. So let me tell you that device, and that's the LG G7 ThinQ. Not just LG G7, simply leave it like that. They had to add the ThinQ to it, of course. By the way, this phone doesn't have anything special on the thickness of the device, so I don't know why it would be named ThinQ, but that's LG's fault. But who cares about the name anyways? But I made a review video about the LG G7 rumors, and practically some of those rumors, of course, came true. And one of those rumors was that it was going to have a 6.1-inch 1440p display, which is kind of the standard for a flagship nowadays in 2018. And I guess another standard for 2018, even though the Samsung Galaxy S9 doesn't have it, is for your phone to have a notch on the top because you want that most bezel-less experience. The G7 comes in 4 colors, a red, a blue, a black, and a gray, the classic gray LG color, which is always the same, and they have a nice blue and red in there if you want to go a little fancy. The LG G7 also has a 1000 nit display, which the Samsung S9 has around 1100 nit display, and the iPhone X has a 650. Apple kind of lowers it for battery life, but my Apple Watch has a 1000 nit display, which is very helpful for just seeing your display outdoors. It really makes it so simple to see your display even when the sun's directly glaring at it. It makes it simple to read. That's exciting to see from a phone that's only going to be priced around $700. Did I mention the price yet? That's because LG didn't announce it, but the rumor is going to be around $700, in between $650 to $800. The ThinQ is coming to South Korea around mid-May, which is almost here, but for the US and the United Kingdom, and probably the rest of Europe too, you're gonna have to wait until early June. I didn't say this yet, but the G7 is the sequel to the G6, which might have been the most underrated phone last year, especially since it released next to the Samsung Galaxy S8. The G6 has wireless charging, a dual camera, water resistance, an almost bezel-less display, all for a price just below Samsung Galaxy S8 flagship. So I was saying that the LG G6 was not a bad value at all, and the LG G7 continues with that legacy. It is going to be underrated no matter what because it doesn't really have that major popping feature, which it kind of does this year, but it still really doesn't. The G7 is a good Android phone with great money value. LG delayed the G7 for 2 reasons. 1, to make a whole new design, and 2, to get the newest Snapdragon processor in there. And they finally did that with the Snapdragon 845 chip, not the Snapdragon 835, but with the 845. Because last year with the G6, it had the 835 instead of the 821. There's a bunch of Snapdragons in there. But the underlining message with the G7 processor is that it's going to run at the same speed as the Google's and the Samsung's flagships coming out in 2018. Talking about more of the hardware, the G7 is IP68 water resistant certified, just up there with the S9 and the S8 at that. It also has wireless charging, and sadly it still has a headphone jack. It's not supporting the wireless feature yet in 2018. Come on, LG. Another come on, LG, is that small bezel on the bottom. Do you guys see the iPhone X? It goes from edge to the other edge. It has the same bezel all around the phone except that top notch. But with the LG G7, not only does it have the top notch on the phone, it also has the bottom notch. So it doesn't go from edge to the other edge. But it still is a 19.5 to 9 display. So it's way vertical than a regular 16:9 phone. LG also added a Google Assistant button on the side. I don't really feel good about these Google Assistants or Bixby buttons. I just, don't stop with that. I don't know why companies can't just put the Assistant button on the power button. That's what the iPhone X does, and I don't know why they don't do that on the S9 or the G7. LG has emphasized a new feature for the speaker. It's called Boombox. It's not a stereo speaker pair, not at all like that. I wish it was. It's just a loud one firing speaker on the bottom that takes up the whole grill. It's probably going to be louder than normal, not sound as good as stereo speakers, and not overall sound the best. But that sure is an interesting feature. And then when we go to the camera, it has 2 16 megapixels rear facing cameras, one standard and then one super wide like LG does. And it also has an 8 megapixel front facing camera. Not to mention this phone has a 3000 milliamp battery, kinda small if I'm gonna be honest with you. This phone's camera also has a 1.6 aperture to go along with the 64 gigabytes and the 4 gigabytes of RAM. Remember, RAM doesn't really matter on phones, but more RAM the better. But that's it right there on the LG G7 ThinQ. Very interesting name, but still a great value Android phone that LG really doesn't disappoint every single year. It's going to have one of the best dual camera systems out there. You get that 19.5:9 ratio on the front display. No bezels, right? 2018. But the things that I'm gonna have my eye on is that battery life, and sadly, it still has a headphone jack. But I'd love to hear your opinion about the LG G7 ThinQ in the comment section below. And remember, I'm back, so I'll see you in the next one.